25-year-old Sade was born in Nigeria and moved to London when she was 4 years old. After finishing school, Sade designed men's fashions, worked briefly as a model, and then one night at a party, a friend asked her if she'd like to try out as the singer for a band.
I actually thought, well, I will have a go. I've always sung, not seriously, and I never had any intention of, never had any dreams or aspirations about, being a singer. I can sing, so I thought, I'll have a go, and auditioned for the group, who initially turned me down, and when they couldn't find anything better, they came back to me chewing vast quantities of humble pie, and I sort of just joined them. I just said, well, that's what I'll do. So I did actually fall into it. It wasn't a plan. It wasn't by design.
And you'd never written a song?
No, I'd never written any songs. I used to write. It was one of the few things that I'm able to do is write. I'm very capable of putting words on paper, but I'd never actually written a song, and it hadn't even occurred to me.
Were you surprised when your record started to sell?
I was. Obviously, we had high hopes for Diamond Life. There's no way I would get up early in the morning to travel to cold and miserable industrial towns in the north of England in a small transit van. I wouldn't do all that if I hadn't hopes of, and faith, a certain amount of faith in what we were doing. We didn't just sort of appear out of nowhere. We actually we'd put a lot behind it, a lot of care and a lot of ourselves into it. So obviously I had hope, but I didn't, I was shocked at the success of Your Love Is King, for instance, because it didn't really sit comfortably in the charts at the time. It was very sort of... When I actually heard it on the radio, most of all, I realised how different it was, how different it felt to everything else. And we hadn't sat down and tried to formulate something that sounded different. We just did naturally what came to us.
Was your name a problem? Did it take forever to get people to figure out how to pronounce it?
Disaster, but I've grown up with that disaster.
But that's not your real first name, isn't it? Helen?
No, it is, but I've never been Helen from a baby. I've never been called Helen.
But your whole name is
Helen. It's Fola Sade. That's the full name. So I could have been a Fola, or I could have been Sade. Well, I should have been Helen, but the Nigerians wouldn't call me Helen. This is an English name. So I could have been Fola or Sade, and so I'm Sade. English pronunciation is Sade. Sade.
You said that you didn't really feel that you were so much of a singer as you were a storyteller. Do you really feel that way?
Yeah, I think that was only because people were talking about, my actual technical ability as a vocalist, and I don't have a great, I have no technique, I just sing the song the way I feel it should be sung, and that's it. And I'm no great acrobat, I'm no great technician. I just sing the song how I feel it should be sung. So really the thing that comes first really is the song, not necessarily the way I sing it.
Has there been a lot of pressure on you to sort of make it in America? Do you care a lot about the American audience?
I care initially about England simply because it's where I grew up. If I'd grown up in America, then I would care about America. I wouldn't pretend. I don't come around saying, I love this country. I love England where I grew up. I really am fond of New York. I know very little about the rest of the country or the people in the rest of the country. I like it here. But yeah, there does tend to be that attitude inside the record company, that paranoia about America, like, this big America, this big mysterious America that you have to conquer, and it's the only thing worthwhile. But I don't look at it like that. I care about, obviously I care once a record's been played somewhere, what people think of it. If everybody hates it, then you've got problems, because that's what music is about, exposing it to people and them being consumers. I'm a consumer. I've always been a consumer as far as music's concerned. So it is important that once we release the record somewhere that it is a success in some sort of terms. Otherwise I maybe feel, I wouldn't change what we're doing, but I maybe feel, well, perhaps it's just me who thinks it's bad, But I've never sort of been thinking we've got to crack in America, because that's just not my attitude. That's not the way I approach things. I think that you become terrified of somewhere if that's what your attitude is, and I think that you're not likely to succeed if you've got that fear, if it's this big monster that you so want to conquer. It's not really like that.
I'm Lisa Robinson, and I'd like to thank Sade for being my guests on Music of the 80s.